Welcome to another awesome video from ACB Memphis. Today we have a cassette changer.
This is the Mitsubishi DT-156 from 1985. Cassette changers, they're always fun to watch. How many devices do you see that just sling that physical media around to play back music? It's pretty cool.
Wow, we have free tape deck changers now.
Yeah, we got 3 of them. We've covered the Denon and the Pioneer in other videos. This video is going to focus mainly on the Mitsubishi, but before we get to the Mitsubishi, let's have a little race between these cassette changers.
A race? He's a race! I hope I win.
We're going to try out the Cassematic. Let me just start some music playing, and when I hit reject, ready?
Yep.
Start. See how long it takes before we hear music again.
And again, we'll count down the 40 most popular songs in the USA. Till then, keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the...
So, I'm going to go ahead and start some music playing on the Mitsubishi here.
Click next.
All right, get ready.
Top 40 has been brought to you in part
All right, ready?
by K-Tel Records, makers of the hot...
Do I stop it when
When you hear music.
10?
Said, here's what you do, son!
So about 13 or 14 seconds.
Get some apple...
All right, ready? Well, as soon as I hit this button, go.
Look, I like the 4 on the side.
Yeah. Okay, it's there. So, like 7 or 8 seconds. The Cassematic wins, but still not as fast as loading tapes the old-fashioned way by hand on a single deck.
Okay. Go!
Obviously, that one's a lot slower. This should help explain why cassette changers never really took off in popularity like record changers.
I guess you use, like we said in the Denon, we can use them for parties.
Think about, though, a record, though. One side of an LP record would get you about 20 minutes of music, then you had to get up, go to the record player, and physically change it, flip it over.
That has a record thing that can go. Once you're done playing another, it places them on top.
Yeah, exactly. So records needed to be changed more often. A cassette tape changer for most people really didn't solve any major inconvenience like a record changer, and probably would be annoying when trying to unload tapes out of this really slow changer if you wanted to just get them out and go to your car or to a Walkman or something. So let's talk a little bit more about this Mitsubishi drawer style changer mechanism. What I have here is really a dual cassette deck or dubbing cassette deck, but it has a changer attached to the leftmost playback deck. Mitsubishi produced at least 3 variations of this mechanism. This one here, there was a changer only model with a receiver built in, and there was a boombox 5-tape changer that was featured recently on Tecmo's channel. And to be honest, this is probably the worst version of all of them. Let's talk about why.
Well, it is very slow.
It's slow.
And also, I noticed if you look closely inside when it takes the thing, there's these 2 little arms come out like a factory and slide them into place.
Yes, in my opinion, it's not very stylish. All these lines and fluorescent writing makes it look kind of cheap. I'm sure in 1985 it looked like the movie Tron and was kind of cool.
Or Runaway.
Well, watch our other video on that movie. But it just looks a lot cheaper than it really is on the inside. Another thing is they probably should have hidden the middle part. You know, like the Pioneer has, 2 decks. This one has 2 sections labeled tape 1. So you got tape 1, tape 1, tape 2, which is confusing.
But here's the question.
What?
Is it a good, does it sound good?
Good question, and yes, it does sound pretty decent. We'll talk about reliability in a second. On the other user interface stuff, programming is a feature, but the display is kind of shoved down here near the bottom. And it's also interesting the things they chose to either minimize or not include on a tape deck. For example, you don't see a level control on this thing. The level control is around back. I guess they're thinking just set it and forget it. And the peak level is just one LED that indicates the top end.
Pioneer looks more modern.
Yes, it is more modern. It's more stylish. The controls seem more intuitive. But it goes beyond that. Even the way the decks are organized, it seems like the Mitsubishi people didn't really use a lot of common sense. For example, these are dual dubbing cassette decks. And so on the Pioneer, the changer is the deck that records, and the single deck is the deck that plays. And on the Mitsubishi, it's the opposite, which means on the Mitsubishi, you can't get the benefit of recording one tape after the other. And to make matters worse, the Mitsubishi has one auto-reverse deck and one non-auto-reverse deck. I feel like on the Mitsubishi, the killer feature was the computer programmable 7-tape changer, and beyond that, beyond that, they just sort of cheaped out on all the other features. For example, there's only Dolby B and there's only normal or special, no metal. Both those things were, mainstreamish by the mid-'80s, but they're not on this deck. But despite all the shortcomings on the user interface, I would still give this thing pretty high marks on reliability and the quality of the mechanism. Let's look on the inside.
I noticed there's like two separate mechanisms, ones that change the tape and one you just insert a tape by yourself.
Yes.
Could you play two tapes at the same time?
No, you can't. When you press one will override the other. But anyway, on the inside, the Pioneer is nicer. It has a lot more going on, and it's going on a lot faster. The Mitsubishi uses a couple of motors with worm gears and a lot simpler process. The large black gear on the left moves the tape tray back and forth. The large white gear on the right moves the tape laterally in and out of the deck. And there's a small motor on the back of the deck to move the tape in and out. There was nothing really wrong with this thing, and the belt slipped a little and some gears needed grease, but I'd rather have the Pioneer. But in terms of mechanical reliability, the Mitsubishi seems a little better. The only drawback I found is cleaning. The pinch roller on the changer side was pretty much impossible to reach. Even after I took off the front panel, I could never get a cotton swab in there. By the way, while I had the cover off, look at how small this counter is. I've never seen one built into the front panel like this. It's a little dinky.
I can't see it.
Yeah. So let's try the killer feature of this deck, which is the ability to program tracks and tapes so that you can build a mixtape or play songs in a specific order. You do this at the bottom in the display area by specifying the tape number, the track number, side A or B, and whether or not the tape is recorded in Dolby, and then you can play back or dub them. Let's give that a try. We're going to do a little experiment to see how smart the computer is. I'm going to switch from Dirty Dancing over to the Honeycomb Hit in back and see if it's smart enough to remember where it is on tape 1. So we're going to put Dirty Dancing in tape slot number 1 and our good old Honeycomb Hits in tape number 2, and notice neither tape is rewound, so it's going to automatically rewind to the beginning and figure out what to play. So let's start programming down here. So we want to program tape number 1, side A, track 3. Then we want to go to tape number 2, side A, track 1. Then finally, we want to come back to tape number 1, side A, track 4. So now we've stored 3 programs. So let's see what it does. We're about to play the program. So it's loading tape number 1. Notice it says program operation there. And it's going to rewind and find track 3 and play it. Here we wound to the beginning. And it's scanning. Note the peak level indicator scanning, I guess, for the spot breaks in the music. The question is going to be, after we start playing track 3, is it smart enough to know that it can just keep playing track 4 again when it reloads this tape? So let's let it play. Next step is going to be unload tape 1 and play a track off tape 2. It's going to do everything as expected. Rewind tape 2. The question is, after we're done playing the Honeycomb song, when we go back to tape 1, is it smart enough to know that that it can just play? And the answer is no. It's now rewinding to the beginning of tape 1 again, so they can go back and fast forward to where it already was on track 4. So not a very smart programming. Alright, so that's about it for our look at this Mitsubishi and the other tape changers. What was your favorite tape changer?
The Denon.
The Denon, the Cassematic. Yeah, we have another video that I'm sure I'll link to about that, but that's about it.
And then in the description or at the end of the video.
Okay, yeah, but that's about it. Until then,
see you next time for another awesome video. Bye.
Bye.